welcome to the Property Podcast with your hosts, Rebecca and Ruth, where we talk all things property. So we have today our guests, Sabrina and Remo. They are Global Property Tribe on Instagram, and we met them actually in person in Bristol, and we get on so well with them. And so they do rent to SA and they invest abroad. Could you tell us a little bit about your backgrounds? In like where have you come from and what's got you started into property?
Sure. First of all, hello. Yes. So how did we get into property? By accident, as you do. So I'm German and I came to England in 2019 and I'm still full-time in my full-time job right now. And yeah, at some stage we thought, let's buy a home in London. And then we had a meltdown and then we thought, okay, we have this cash and what we're going to do with it if London is not going to help us out. And then we decided to bring it somewhere else. And it turned out to be Bali.
Yeah.
How? To
be honest, it was Instagram. That's what is the magic of social media. We always say how bad it is as well, but it can be really rewarding. And, if you're in your circle of, trying to think about properties and how to invest. So we did investments before already, but it's more, stocks and shares or crypto or, we were in this kind of world. And when we started with property, then, your your recommended videos all of a sudden change, right? And this is how we basically came across Bali things. And I've been there before and I thought, well, you can buy something for much less money, but you get European nightly rates. And as we are big fans of serviced accommodation, I just said to Remo, should we just book a call with this couple that was advertising
now
it?
That's where most people stop the conversation. I think 99% of people go, yeah, okay, well, that's lovely, it's a really nice idea, but Sabrina obviously said to herself, this is going to happen, I'm going to make this happen. So I was like, okay, sure, let's have a look. So we booked
That's one thing that striked us about you guys. You're such yes people. And I love it.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's true.
I mean, I always think if you're open to the world, in whatever matter, then, you can only move forward. It doesn't matter. You never know where you might end up. And we did not think that we will end up sitting on a podcast someday. We're very honored, by the way. It's our first podcast. We're super excited.
It's our first
one. And that we got more into investing and building in Bali, and that we actually already helped people getting their investments as well. I mean, we just wanted to buy a house in England to live there, and now we're here.
And I think that's the thing that I know, marrying Sabrina, is that the sheer amount of potential. I mean, I knew she obviously was doing amazing things in her life, and I don't want to go into too much detail about,
it's going to be embarrassing now,
about her background, but not everyone has a great experience in previous relationships always, and it's not always possible to just do whatever you like, anything you think you could dream. And with Sabrina, I felt like just by being supportive and sort of seeing where she wants to go with things. And she always makes such valid arguments as to why we should do something that, and I always said this, she's so reasonable that it's very hard to say no. I wouldn't want to say no. And also I want to see where this goes.
I love that though.
But it's not even me being selfish. It's just sort of how she sees the world and how she interacts with people. Obviously, I just want to be behind that. I would never want to prevent anything like that happening. With us.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Yeah.
It's so important to have. But it's so important to have
a supportive
partner, and just you bring your partner on, and it just makes such a difference.
It's
when
for
you
the
work.
both of you,
yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly.
Your family at the end of the day, legally. So the whole point of this is so you can have a
That's
better
right.
future for both
I
of
mean, and
you.
she
Why
supports
wouldn't you
me
be on
in
the
my
same
silly,
team?
crazy ideas. She's always with my studio behind. I have these visions of scoring for film and TV and all these sorts of things, and you always comes. She always comes up and has a listen and sort of gives me a really good. And she teaches music as well, which is dead handy for me. So I can always run things past her and she'll say what works, what doesn't. She's very German, so she's very honest with me.
And I think we are just in general really focused on, it changed. Maybe it really changed with COVID. I'm not sure if that was like the big break for everybody, but
definitely
because I was still working, right? So a lot of people didn't have a job or they were on furlough, like Remo, but me, I was still working, and all of a sudden out of my office, and I thought this is the worst thing I can think of, being stuck in here now. And then I had to go out at some stage, but England was still closed. It was like, okay, the NHS has to go, and all the teachers, it's okay, maybe you catch it, but you need to go. And I thought, I don't want to have this pressure anymore that, I have to do something. I like the idea of, I love to teach as well. I like that, I do like my profession, but I don't like so many things that are involved with it that make me feel like I'm a little bit in a cage. So for me, it was important. All of a sudden I said to Remo, let's focus on the things that we love. And we want to spend time with our family. So Remo has his family here. You didn't even introduce yourself. I just realized.
That leads into, it ties in perfectly, because I was going to say, I at that stage, I think the same stage as we got there at the same time, which I think is also, as business partners and in marriage, is kind of good that we're on the same level. But I got to the point because I was a sound engineer in the West End sort of theatre trade. So, and I'd done that since 2006. And I didn't really know anything else. And like my world was such a bubble, and it's a lovely bubble, don't get me wrong. But, you get to a certain age and you think, all right, I've missed every funeral, every wedding, every christening, anything important. And I'm such a family, I'm half Italian. You understand. You need to spend that time with family. And now I'm married, and it's not about settling down. I mean, if anything, we've geared up more, but it's just about having that time, getting some of that time back. It's a bit of a young man's game for me, and I didn't want to do it anymore. So we were looking for other things. And as we invested, and just before lockdown, actually, we decided we'd make a little side income from doing Airbnb at Sabrina's flat. And then from there, we realised we're quite good at this. Sorry, there was a plane going past. It blocked out the sun. That's how rude they are here. But that was really good, because it made us extra money. We just went to my parents for the weekend, or when Wimbledon was on, we weren't too far away, so we were making big bucks there. And we thought, wow, this is something we could do.
It was working for you, and then that piqued your interest in what other things property could do.
Because we like to travel a lot, I think as well. Then if you have been in 150 Airbnbs, you know what's going wrong, and a lot of things. So
that's a good point.
So you're already experienced from being the customer.
You're like, oh, I'll just create something I wish I had, or
it's always these little extra things, and it seems to be. I mean, whenever we stay, it's always those little extra things. They haven't cost a lot of money, but they've been thought out. And I think that's where we get a lot of feedback now, is providing all the extra toothbrushes and the little bits and bobs.
So then that led you to finding Airbnbs, but abroad instead.
I mean, this is where we started, and then obviously then that was a large amount of money, because in Indonesia you can't just say, hi, I would like a mortgage, please. You bring your cash, and then you put it in that property, and that will pay you off, obviously a very high ROI as well, but you can't recycle it as you would do in the UK, for example. So we thought, okay, let's do something else. We stumbled across shiny penny syndrome, probably R2SA. I did a course. It was very expensive, not as expensive as your guys, but it was still, for me, it was like, okay, if I do this now, we have to get one. And we did. And we learned. We don't want to
that's our next question, actually. So how, in your honest, I mean, it's the honest property podcast. What has your honest experience been, positive and negative, with R2SA? Because I know we've shared
we've shared our own opinion. We know that obviously it does work for some people, but it's and for others it doesn't, or it just like sometimes the numbers just don't stack,
or it's just been a good experience as a training ground for whatever it is you want to do next. So what's your takeaways from that strategy?
Our first lesson is that we are not pursuing a second one.
But there's a lesson learned.
We really did enjoy everything of it, the creativity, and we did a million mistakes. I mean, so many mistakes, so many stupid mistakes. But we learned so much now. We still love service accommodation. So I think
people want to hear the mistakes.
So
let us know the mistakes.
So I did this training course, and they tell you, build your power team, power of 3. You need 3 cleaners and 3 this and 3 handyman. And I said all of this to Remo. We need to get these things. And
I took that on. I mean, I stuck to that. I tried to.
And then I went on Checker Trade, and there was this lovely guy, had a few reviews, and then he came around, we had a chat, and he was so nice, And then I thought, okay, Remo, let's go with him. And
which she said out loud to him, which then made it kind of very difficult to say,
you can't go back from that.
No. She was like, and you start Monday. And I thought, well, let's not be hasty about this. Maybe we could see 3 or 4 other people first, or 10. I don't know. We need to get the right. But he was giving us quoting sort of timelines that I thought, that's interesting. It's a fair sized flat. You can do it in 2 days. The painting, impressive. Well, it's very impressive. Would it be good?
Ambitious. Yeah,
I know. And there were so many things, and then
we didn't know.
We played it back in our minds what he'd said to us, and went, "Hang on a minute." So none of this makes sense.
So basically what happened was he came. I immediately said, okay, great, let's do it. Remo asked me afterwards, what about the 3? And I said, trust me. The teachers, we always have to be right. So
it's funny now.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing. And then he said, oh, you need a sliding door? I can build that in. Oh, you need a new kitchen? I can build the kitchen in. And I thought, wow,
this guy
jackpot.
Does.
No jackpot. I can do it in 2.5 weeks. Everything in 2.5 weeks. Brilliant. This is how it goes. So we do this. And then after 2.5 weeks, he hasn't even finished the painting.
Oh no.
I ended up going to the house at that point to go and visit it, to check how it was going, how progress was. So I drove down to Bath, and there was a woman inside, and I thought, wow, you look so different. I don't know. Hello? What are you doing in our flat? And it was his partner, who he shouted out, don't worry, she's a really great artist. And I thought, I don't think she is.
It was horrible.
She can't cut in. I mean, I could do that. I paid you because I could do this. I don't want to do it. Oh Lord. Yeah, it was and it was paint all over. It had this kind of semi-porous kind of clay tile floor that was now covered in white paint. I thought,
because I didn't put anything else. It was a real nightmare. But in the end, we had to do 30% of it, and we had an electrician coming as well to fix something. But in the end,
is that when he drove through the floor?
We paid very little money because we didn't pay in full up front. So, but it looks now beautiful. It's really great. But
so if you were going to choose a contractor again next time, what would you do differently?
So obviously we would have some more people to talk to. I would not take a handyman anymore to do important bigger things like building in a kitchen if they have no reviews on building a kitchen. And to be honest, yes, sometimes you pay more for any kind of contractors, but they normally get their job done. If I have a professional painter, they have a spray gun, or I get somebody who is just, I know, then I'm thinking, okay, I could have done that. But we thought, let's be smart. Let somebody do it who knows how to do it.
I mean, trying to save time and money, and then there's, making huge mistakes. I think that's the thing that I've learned is the reason why these jobs are separate and people are good at what they do. That's really,
it really amplifies that saying that time is money.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, because we ended up going
twice,
over. How long did it go over the job? I can't remember.
I think it took him, with us 4 weeks. So it was okay, but because we did everything and I mean, it's always a fun part of ripping everything out. But I mean, building in a kitchen, what do we know about nothing? Yeah. I mean, so this was for us a learning curve. But the reason why we are not pursuing another R2SA, a serviced accommodation, we would do it because we just love it and it works.
So
in
just for the
place.
beginners who are listening, R to SA is rent to serviced accommodation.
Yes.
So that means you have like full consent from the landlord to the landlord to operate basically an Airbnb in the property.
Correct. And we pay all the bills, council tax, everything. So we have to make first a large amount of money, I would say, to really cover that. So it might be 45% that we are hitting zero, which is good. I know it's like the courses tell me it's good, but it does not feel good if you only make 60%. And I don't know, it doesn't make enough to give me the feeling of
it's worth it.
It's really worth it because I have to say it's not as much work now that I thought. We have we have a maintenance guy there and we have a cleaning team and so on. And they are brilliant. But if we wouldn't have good, reliable people working for us, that would be a nightmare because we can't drive. We're 2 hours away. Another problem, 2 hours away. But if you live in Southwest London, finding a rental serviced accommodation for something that makes sense. If you don't have a lot of money, we can't say, we put $3,000 every month down to pay rent for a 2-bedroom somewhere. We had to look further out and further. We went, and that's why we in the end got to Bath. So sometimes it's not so easy to look an hour around you if you live in a very expensive town.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, because if the rents are that high, then it's going to be hard to make even make ends meet.
Yeah, and quite frank, they're all annoyed. Landlords in London are all annoyed if you are asking. It doesn't matter how you're asking, whether corporately. And yes, of course, there's always a possibility to convince some people to do it. Don't get me wrong, because people are doing it. But the problem is there's so many deal sources now, and no offense against deal sources. There are really great ones out there, but there are also very not great ones out there. And they are bombarding these landlords that are advertising on open rent and calling them. And then maybe, for example, us are calling or writing an email, and they ignore us, or they're really rude, and I'm thinking, fair play. He probably got 50 messages today about these things, and he just wants a family in his house. So, for me, it's always also a thing, sorry that I'm talking so much, but rental service accommodation does take away living space for families, for example. So if I buy a house and I use it as a service accommodation, then that's mine. I have the material change of use and I use it as it's intended to be. But if it wasn't originally, then there's another flat that can't be used for somebody who needs to live somewhere. So I do understand the struggle and the ambivalence that people have of rental serviced accommodation.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I think we said it in a previous podcast that it's a fine line, isn't it? Because in difficult times, and this is a very easy entry strategy to get started in property. I don't blame people for trying to make make it in property in the easiest way possible when people really are struggling right now. So
that's the thing. I think that's the challenge that we've had, because I think we both had this real sort of sense of obligation to do things as ethically as we can.
Yeah,
and
this is why we love you guys.
It's hard to start down that path,
Yeah,
it's because and I understand, like you say, from an access point of view, to get into any part of the industry, it seems like you kind of have to look after yourself first and do what everyone else is doing. But just anyone out there, if you intend on doing it, obviously you can start with a mindset already. It's just, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So we kind of just admit to ourselves, okay, fine. We kind of just jumped on the bandwagon to start with because there's well-trodden paths in the industry that obviously work. And now we're realizing maybe we do have to just be honest to ourselves and do it a certain way with a certain intention behind it. So
and we already said no a lot of times as well, because our landlady actually offered us 2 more properties in Bath, which were like a cottage and a house, and I said no, because I could have had, it wouldn't have been a lot of money to put into, but for me it was just not, it's not sustainable. The stress as well that comes with it if there's a problem. And or we had
I think people need
viewing.
to realize that it is that you're running a hospitality business. And especially if you have other passions and you want to do other things beside property as well. Like you've got your teaching career too.
Especially if you're managing it yourself, it's another job.
It is,
and from our experience, it doesn't work. It doesn't. The numbers don't stack unless you do manage it yourself. So if you're prepared to have another job on top of what you're already doing, then go ahead.
Yeah, and people want to do that, so that's like good for you.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to try things to realize that's not for you.
And also, there's no regret, is there?
Yeah,
we did so many things because we don't have our own house. So you learned so many skills of, how to not do painting, how to not build in the kitchen, how to not drill through the floor and hit an electric, cable. And, there's so many, how to make a hole in the wall where there shouldn't be a hole in the wall. So we did learn so many things that you can then also, transfer to your property journey as well, I think.
There's so many lessons to be learned, and I think there's people have hesitation of course you're investing a lot of money into property, whichever strategy that you do, but it is sorry, that it is the fact that it's that saying when you fail your way forward, and you learn so much from making mistakes and you find clarity and go and take a step back and go, oh, what is it that I really want from what I'm doing? Is it really this, or is there something else that fits better with my ethics and the way that I want to invest long term? And sometimes we have to go through that, trying other strategies to realize that,
well, this doesn't align with me.
Yeah.
And at least you knew early on as well, which is great. Ruth and I were like 6 properties deep.
I know.
And we were like,
what I heard.
You don't do this anymore.
5 properties in a year. I thought, oh my God, they're crazy.
That's what you're told to expect to do, which is, you've got to get as many going as possible in order to accumulate some cash flow to get it.
Logically, it makes sense, like the strategy, but how it feels, or
it didn't align how we wanted, and we really are grateful for management, because that was not our strong point in business, and so with this type of strategy, it just didn't work for us.
But I love that you're up for, and you share a lot of really interesting things about investing abroad.
Yeah, so tell us more about Bali, and also what you do with helping investors as well to be able to invest abroad.
So we started last year, I think it was like February 2023, when we started with our first villa that has been currently built in Canggu in Bali, and in 3 weeks we're going to fly there and have a proper look at it. So that's very exciting. But we the investment is not like a tool as high as you might need it in especially South England. I have to say North UK is still pretty affordable, I would say, especially if you do BRR. But a lot of people don't know how to do it, or they have money, but they don't know who to trust. So this is basically where we started, and we worked are still in contact with multiple people. They're all German, but that's just a coincidence. I wasn't particularly looking for it. It just kind of came up, probably because my Instagram feed or something. I don't know. And then one thing led to another, so I actually did you can do some financing. So I did some financing with personal loans as well, because the ROIs are so much higher. I mean, not don't believe everything that you read on Instagram when they say
Yeah.
25% ROI. No, it won't. It's not going to happen. But still, 12% is very average over there. And so I got in contact with somebody who helped me financing, and then we talked, and he said, oh yeah, I'm going to build something. Oh yeah, great. So, over a year we stayed in contact, and they said, hey, we're going to set up this very big thing, and we are looking for investors. Don't you want to join us and help us finding more investors for this project? And then we started helping them basically out, and we are invested as well in this project. And now we thought, why should only we profit from, something that we think is ethically, sustainably built? They're really trying to take care of everything that you can think of, even if it's material, the interior as well. Everything is being made on Bali. There is no expert from, I don't know, other
which
countries.
Is really cool, because then we got to get in touch with, craftsmen and people that actually make things there. So everyone gets paid, everyone gets a job. And even down to like so this villa in Canggu that we're having made is even the walls. Ours is the most jungle sort of, because it is built into the jungle. So we wanted it to sort of be part of the villa, not take away from that. So I think if we are going to do things like this, we kind of want to be sensitive. I mean, actually, we really like the site in particular, because there's a temple on the corner that even the planners, when they were planning it, decided, let's just keep the temple there. Don't disturb that ground. Leave it for the locals, which I think's really key.
I think so.
In the strategy.
So that was like a green flag for you guys to know that you're working with people who are sensitive.
That was sensitive to the locals.
And I think it's always what, everybody preaches, but it's true. You don't work with companies, you always work with people. And if you have a gut, and it was for me a gut feeling. And I said to Remo after this one call, I don't know what we have to think about. This is it. We're just gonna do it. So 5 minutes later, I wrote him a WhatsApp message. Okay, we're in. Send us the button. We're going to do everything. And,
could you explain as well that it's so that how it works, because it's quite similar in the Philippines with people investing overseas into property.
You foreigners aren't able to own the land, but they're able to long leasehold the land, the building that's built onto the land. So do you want to explain a little bit more how that works if you're investing?
Sure. So that's correct. And I think it's almost everywhere in Southeast Asia that you cannot own as a foreigner any land. Yes, you can set up a private, like a limited company. So that's what that's what we have in Indonesia, PTPMA, and then that property will go into this company. But you can never own it. So basically what you do is a 25 to 30 year lease that you get, but you can also extend it. You can also put in a guarantee that you can extend it for another 20 years. So technically for 55 years, you could make money out of this property if you wanted to. But, if we are, I think probably 55 years is a very long time in a country where tectonial plates are, and there's like, we shouldn't forget about these things, right? It's humid, and you need to always put more work into it again and again. So I think 55 years to get something out of these properties in Bali is extremely lucrative and probably not even necessary, and you will probably sell it on at some stage, in 30 years or something, if you have your first lease is running out, and sell on the guaranteed lease to somebody else. So I think, it's not the same when people say, in the UK you can own it forever. That's correct, but not everywhere the same strategy is the smartest strategy.
So it's like here you own the land, and you benefit from the appreciation of the value of the land if you're able to own it, but it sounds like in Bali, for example, like what you guys are doing, you get quick cash flow and return on investment sooner, not necessarily the appreciation of the house.
And then the local still owns the land.
sorry that I'm cutting in. At the moment, to be fair, the capital appreciation is still high because every foreigner knows. So everybody knows we can't own the land. So nobody cares. So, it's not like, you can't own the land. Well, then I'm not going to buy it. Everybody buys. So the capital appreciation, and we're developing, right? So a piece of land is worth not a lot. And if you put that on the day one where you open them up for Airbnb, you already gained 25% of your value in what you put originally in to building the house because it's done. People are crazy at the moment.
So are you saying that the house itself, the building itself, will go up in value?
Yes.
Anyway,
you can see it over the last if you look back as well. I mean, to be fair, in 2021 the laws changed. Always like they opened up more and more to foreign investments, and I have to say Indonesia is really, really working hard on getting more foreign investment, not only for Bali, right? So it's not only, I know everybody always talks about Bali, but there are a lot of other lovely places where it's worth investing in as well.
And it's a really interesting, I mean, Indonesia is really interesting as well. I mean, there's a lot happening just within the country and the processes that are put in place for investment. But also, I mean, they're changing capital soon as well.
Yeah.
The actual capital is moving because it's too many people
things
in one spot.
change so much, don't they? And you just adapt to it, and like opportunity is not always in our own country.
Sorry. I was just going to say that's why it's adaptable. That's why it's flexible. Southeast Asia in itself, I think, is flexible in that way.
But the capital appreciation goes up because nobody can change the rules anyways. The government is hopefully, to be honest, I don't want the government to change the rules. I don't think that, we shouldn't, take the land also away from the people. So I think they are now being paid, obviously, every year wages and money because, others are using it. But I think it's actually a good, it's a great idea, I think, how that works right now. And everybody's fine with it. And because everybody's fine with it, there is still capital appreciation. Because in 10 years, these they are still going to rise, but not as much, obviously, as they will. It's just this first, when the development, and then when it's completely finished, you have the highest jump of the capital appreciation, and then it will slowly go up.
So how does that compare to the UK, the appreciation of the building?
So in the UK, I'm not sure how it is from development to building, because you only see north and south in general, like the property. So in the north of the UK, the capital appreciation is very slower, and in the south it goes faster up. And in Indonesia, I would say it's probably like you could maybe compare it like with a property up north. So it's a slow, after it's been built, it's a slow capital appreciation, but it will still make you some money. So
and then your property is rented out by Airbnb, like somebody manages your property for you and rent it out to tourists, Airbnb guests.
Management, they're only operating on Airbnb. I think it makes sense because Booking.com is not really a big player in Southeast Asia, and because people are only using Airbnb, the margin that you have to pay is so little, because you only pay 3% to Airbnb if you only play Airbnb. So that's a game changer. We pay here 15% or something plus VAT, or I don't know how much, and it's getting higher and higher. Another thing why R2SA in 2 years it's just dead, because the costs around it are getting so high,
extortionate.
And more regulations are coming in as well,
which we think is a good thing.
It's a good thing, but like it makes it impossible to run it. Like we got a letter in the post from the Cardiff, I think it was a Cardiff council,
that we sourced on, and they were saying they were raising the council tax by
100% for businesses.
What? Yeah.
Is that legal?
Wow.
It's a new regulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I mean, it's
we don't have
good,
that one
but I
anymore.
mean, it's also making, I mean, at least us guys
Yeah.
check
Yeah,
ourselves
I
and be
mean,
like,
I
is this
suppose
what we want?
it really hits. I think it really hits hard for people that are just trying to run an Airbnb just for a little bit of extra money. I think that's the people that really
Yeah.
suffer
Yeah.
there.
In any market, that whichever strategy, it becomes saturated and it levels out again when regulations come in. So it's like a whole process that has to happen, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it does make it It does make it difficult. People just trying to do something more than just have like one income, but that's
Yeah.
just the way life is,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Are there any other strategies that interest you? Are you going to keep investing abroad? Are you going to do any like other kind of things in the UK or Germany or
I think
Italy?
so. Germany, no, because that's really not a very healthy place to invest, to be honest, like investing
If we
wise.
did, it would be for
Mm.
nostalgic reasons,
Yeah.
for maybe to go where Sabrina comes from, Minden, Leighton, a little town, is
Aw.
really beautiful. It's like a little country town.
Yeah.
It's very lovely.
Sounds
But
lovely.
that's for,
Yeah, that'd be more for a personal.
yeah.
What about Italy?
Yeah. So
Oh.
yeah, that's the next. So yeah, we're still having
Well, we're going in.
our bucket list.
We're going.
Well, let us know.
Yeah.
We're going this summer and looking at some properties.
Yeah. My dad's best friend's he's very good at looking for properties out there, especially the ones from the like farming community or the Trilly houses in Puglia. So he's going to take us around and show us some nice
lovely.
little. Yeah, so that'd be lovely.
So
we have an
Airbnb,
advantage there. Mm.
Yeah.
so Airbnb is like seems to be your main interest, like
Yeah,
service accommodation.
I mean, in Italy at the moment, and also in Italy and in Bali at the moment, yes. I mean, in Bali, to be honest, it changes as well, because our second project that we are invested in, it's an apartment complex, because more and more people want to live in Bali and they want to work there and stay there. So this is why we're invested in an apartment complex as well with other investors.
So a long-term rental.
Correct.
Well,
And
nice.
in Italy at the moment, because we're focused on Puglia, because this is where Remo's family is from, and this is where we have let's say, the biggest leverage on, getting good properties and just land, to be honest, because we know, it's a big family and everybody knows everyone. So I think this is going to help us massively to get really good deals for investors as well. Maybe than other people.
Quite a good infrastructure management there and stuff. As that's already built in. Obviously, places like Italy and Greece and places, they already have the management systems in place, so we don't have to stress too much. And also, we can have families go and check up, which is
that's really lovely.
Yeah. And we have also already in place. Because this is the good thing about networking, right? Because you always meet people. Like, I was traveling for 3 months in Mexico 15 years ago on my own. And I made all these like friends, these people that live in Mexico City. And because of the magic of Facebook, that's basically dead now. But because of that, we always stayed in contact, and all of a sudden I realized, oh, she's a property manager. Oh, and then we started talking, and so we have possibilities on investing in Mexico as well, and we would already have management in place, and they're building there at the moment as well. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a lot. Yes. We have also leads to Panama, also as a long-term rental, not as a service accommodation. But it's
amazing.
a lot.
I love this.
You need
I
to
love this.
focus and go step by step. So we decided to. So this is the thing with saying yes to everything, not to everything, but like to things I love. At some stage we need to say, okay, let's put some things on hold for the moment. So that's why we are focusing on Bali at the moment, and Italy. We're starting next, and Mexico and Panama will have to wait a year before we are.
That's not long. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so funny though, because in everyday life, Sabrina will say this, I'm like the agent of chaos. If I get bored, I start messing around with things, and then she gets annoyed. Whereas when it comes to like investments and things, I think I'm the one. You're the one that's like the dreamer. Like, yeah, I could go and just do that. I'm like, okay, let's just but let's just kind of calm. Let a little
One
time
thing at a
pass.
time. Yeah.
Maybe we'll think about that tomorrow. Will we feel the same tomorrow? Let's sleep on it.
That's
Like, wow.
But you need that kind of duo as a business partner. You can't have two people being the same. You've got to have a yin and yang in business.
Do
But
you
I love
have the
that.
same traits? Like you two?
Yeah.
We're like same, but different. So I think I'd say,
I'm the dreamer.
yeah, and I'm the, let's think, analytical one. But we're also
Nice.
both very like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You can
Always
still
say
be
yes.
positive, but just as long as one of you goes, oh, whoa, hang on. Yes, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What I
The
love about what you
universal
guys
wisdom,
do is that if you're opening up a space that's saying you don't need to just invest where you are on the ground that you are. You can invest. There's
There's
many
a whole world
there's a
out
whole
there.
world out there, and
Yeah.
you're investing money into other countries to be able to provide back for the economy in that
Country,
in
yeah.
that country. You're bringing people.
Provides jobs for people in that place, respects
Correct.
there, as long as you do it all respectfully and thoughtfully. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think
but
so.
Bali also is a victim to a lot of foreign investors who are negligent and do not
Correct.
care about.
Yeah, but that's also
not-
everywhere.
Yeah, so it's important that there's people like yourselves and hopefully one day us too, that when we develop or invest in other places, I mean anywhere, even here, that
Yeah.
you are
as
ethical the whole way through.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's where we all meet eye to eye. I think is when we
Yeah.
came to meet you, we just instantly sensed that
Click.
we all
Yeah.
kind of have that same and that's it's an important message for our podcast today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just make sure we
It
always
is.
we're always careful about where we go, and I think you can be a conscious investor in property without having to
Yeah.
sacrifice. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, but you do need people.
Absolutely.
This is why I think it was for us in the beginning, a 50-50 game with just trusting your gut and then say, okay, let's just go for it. But by meeting now more and more people, understanding more processes, and meeting management, contractors, and so on, to feel like, okay, we can help other people who are not sure like who to trust and what are their values, obviously, that if they trust us, obviously, I don't know, but we always try to be very honest on our social media about everything.
yeah.
It's so
That they feel
refreshing
like
and
the
it's so
money is
needed.
in the right place, and we would never put it somewhere where we think it's unethically.
Yeah. I just want to wrap up the podcast as well. We just want to ask you, what am I trying to say? Sorry, my brain. Start again. So to wrap up the podcast, what advice would you give to anyone who is wants to get started in investing in property, especially investing abroad?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is, why do you want to invest abroad? So do you want a second home? Do you want cash flow? Do you want, is it important that your capital appreciation is going up over the years and you own something? Or do you just, are you looking for serviced accommodation? So I think you need to set these things first. Like, what are you looking for? Or do you want to live there maybe 6 months a year and 6 months rent it out or something? And then from that time on, you check out countries. I think it's really, social media is a really great place, I have to say, to do all of these things. Like, where do you like to go on holiday? And then really look for tax reasons, to be honest, because not every country has a double taxation policy with the UK or Germany, for example. But Indonesia does, for example. So you only pay tax once in that country where the property is. And in Indonesia, the taxes are great. I can only say that. So I have a lot more money. But yeah, and I think follow people or check out people who trust, who you would trust, or your values align with, and ask questions. There's like, if anybody like who's listening now and has questions about it, but doesn't really want to invest at the moment, or maybe in 5 years, just send us a DM and just ask questions. It's always fine. And if we don't know them, we're going to tell you we have no idea. So we're going to can lead you somewhere else to somebody who we know invests in Croatia.
I think that's right. And I think with the people that we've dealt with, especially when it comes to investment, is they don't mind you asking lots of questions.
Yeah.
You can keep coming with them, and they'll always, you know, and the honest ones say, look, do you know what, I actually don't know the answer to that, but I will get back to you. So they you know whether something's suspicious or not. And I think it's just weeding out. You slowly learn. I think we have that. You can hear just by someone's tone and the way they talk and the way they are.
Yeah.
Especially with foreign investment, you can work out who's serious and who isn't. So
Yeah.
And if somebody tries to sell you, you know, a too high ROI for a little money and nothing, it's the quick.
It's a red flag.
Too good to be true.
Oh God, yes, that one. So, you know, already red flag, just move on.
Yeah.
But what a smart way to diversify your portfolio and also get to enjoy the properties. That's another big bonus because you're going to Bali soon just to, we won't be ready yet, but you'll eventually be able to enjoy it.
Yes.
But yeah, if you want to learn more or have any questions for Sabrina and Remo, you can contact them on Instagram at Global Property Tribe.
We'll put their handle below in this podcast. And also, we'd like to say that we do have an exciting event coming up, which we are collaborating with both of you. For anyone interested who are the kind of people who love nature and being outdoors, this networking event is for you. So we are making something really special, and we will let
the first that we've seen, I think. I've never seen anything like what we're making.
I think we are very unique.
So for the like-minded people like us, we will be putting more information on our socials very soon.
Stay tuned.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Great talking to you again.